Hi, I'm Margaret, and I think some of you also know me as on my YouTube channel as Mama Says All. Well, Mama does say, but Mama does a lot of things. And I've got some items I want to show you, and I want to show you how it's done because it's really very simple. I make hats for babies, newborns, and there's nothing more fun or more creative in trying to make these little tiny hats. So let me show you some of the things you need to have. You need to have your ruler, and I like this one because I don't like that flimsy one. You gotta have scissors. Now in here, my old medicine bottle, I keep my needles. Before I did the medicine bottle, I'd lose a darn needle. I go, oh lordy. So, and then I have different size needles. I prefer to use a circular needle. So, I use a size 4, 5, or 6 needle, depending on what size hat I'm doing. So let me give you some ideas here. It's really simple, and it's something that is so appreciative. There's nothing more fun than what I did last week. I went to the Dallas Regional Hospital in Mesquite, Texas, and I donated hats that I had made. I donated 35 hats and 3 Afghans. And let me show you some of the finished hats. Here's a little finished hat. Look at this. That's the cutest darn thing. Oh, and this is like a little princess hat for a little girl. Look at that. And these are all knit. This is one I just finished. And you know what? A lot of this is made out of scrap yarn. You have a little tiny ball of yarn. You'd be amazed how much you can get out of it. And then I like to decorate them. Look at this. Isn't it cute? And this is a guy's hat, a little boy. All those bold colors. But you know, people want to make pink hats and blue hats. But babies love color. That's one of the first things they see. Because look at this in the peach and the white. See that? Love that. But I've also learned doing that and doing the hats. There's a lot of other things that you can do. And that is headbands. And here's the first headband I ever made. And I can't wait to donate that. So have an open mind. Here's another one with a button on it. Keep an open mind of what you're doing, and that what you're doing is going to please a child. Because what I did find out when I was at the hospital, there was a baby born, and that little baby has nothing because he's not going home to anybody. CPS is picking up that little baby. And he's going to have a hat. He's going to have something that's all his own. And I had a friend tell me on Facebook one time, she said, I love that you're doing this. She said, I had 3 children, and I had hats at the newborn hats when my babies were born. My children are now grown up, and I still have those hats. So it's like the first thing you do for a child that has a memory. And we all love memories. So let me show you simple steps here. This is a size 5 needle, and as I said, I like a circular needle. I don't like those needles like this. I want to have them right in my hand. So I just make a slip knot. I learned to do this when I was a little girl, and we go to the grocery store back when they had string hanging. Slide it on your needle. Put your needle through here. This is how I do it, the old-fashioned way they call it. Bring your yarn around to the back. Bring it through the loop. And then pull it up and slide that over the needle on your left side. And there you are. You now have 2 stitches. And you keep going with the stitches. That's 2. Here's another one. Slide it through, bring it up, and lay it on that needle. Like this. Always going to the back of the stitch to do that. Just slide it into the back, bring it around, bring it down, and lay it over that. And that is so easy. So, depending upon the baby, on the size, if I'm doing a preemie hat, I start out with 58 stitches. The neck, I do 58, 64, or 68 stitches. Those are the 3 different size hats that I make. And when you're making the hat, and I showed you how to do the ribbing, and that's knit 2, purl 2. Now, I think a lot of you actually do know how to do that, but let me show you something here as I get tangled up in my yarn. Isn't it fun? I love yarn. I have a friend who, she said she's learned so much about yarn just going shopping with me. A lot of this came from Joey and the Fabrics. So what you do is knit 1, knit 2. Bring yarn forward and do 2 purl stitches like this. And do that all the way across. Like that. And that begins your ribbing. Now the ribbing I do from 1 to 1.5 inches, and there's your ribbing. Now when you look at this ribbing, there's 2 things you can do with it. You can either continue on and make a hat, or guess what? You could make a headband with that. Same thing. Isn't that cool? So I've got that on, and then I like to add another color. So I just go in, bring this around, kind of leave a little tail hanging down there, and begin knitting it on to your ribbing. And that gives you your base of the hat. You got the ribbing done, and now we're going to do the hat itself. And I just knit. That's all you have to do. Just knit every single stitch. Every stitch. But when you get to the end of this, I'll show it with the color that is in the ribbing as I take this back off. You know what? When you knit, I've learned how to really take stitches off when I see a problem. I'm pretty good doing back stitching. Sounds funny, doesn't it? But it happens. You knitters, you all know that happens all the time. So then we go across and we knit this. Take that off. And I want to have just this color. And what I do is I go across the row and I knit every row. Right on across, just like that. And I know my white yarn kind of got in the way, but that's okay. You know. That's because I like playing in the yarn. And when I get all the way across that row, I put the together and I knit right like that. When I get to the end of that row, I'll knit. I'll be at the end here and I'll knit right onto this stitch. And that begins your circular just like that. Cool. So then you knit up to, and here's one I've got done. I did the blue cuff. Love this yarn. It's got a little blue and a little yellow in it. And it is 5.5 inches in length. And when you get 5.5 inches, that's when you begin to decrease. So for the top of the hat. And to decrease, this is what I've learned to do. I knit 2 together, like that, yarn around, 2. And then I knit 1, 2, 3, 4, knit 2 together, like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Knit 2 together, all the way around. Now, if you notice, you see my ribbing is not connected because I'm lazy. So I know that's where my beginning and ending row is, just by folding that little cutie thing in half, and there it is. The next row, you will knit 2 together, knit 3. Now it gets a little funky trying to do it on the needles, but it works. And then I do down to knit 2 together, knit 3. Knit 2 together, knit 2, each row coming down. And when it gets down, I take my little trusty needle, thread it with the yarn, and just put it through all the loops, and then pull it tight. And you've got it. And that's where this little top comes in like that. See that? Just like that. Now the other thing I've done, I'm not going to show you in this video today, but this hat here, I want this in a white hat with a white base, and this little flower is going to go right on it. It's going to go so pretty against that white yarn. And that's a little girl's going to get that, and she's going to be just adorable. I just feel so happy when I do these. Now let me tell you what I do. I sit in this chair that you see me in, and people laugh at me. But I sit here and I watch TV and I just knit, and the whole day goes away. 'Cause, you know, I'm retired, so I don't go to an office. This is my office right here. And I just think of things and how can I create it? And what can I do to make it different? How can I make it prettier? So I found the other day in Joann's, these are little pom-pom makers. Little bitty pom-pom makers. So when this hat is done, look at here. He's going to have a little pom-pom on top. And that little guy is going to be too cute in this little blue and little yellow hat with a pom-pom on it. Now the other thing that happens, it's surprising to many people, but I am classed as visually impaired. Isn't that an exciting thought in life? But that just is what happens. And I have a lamp here on the right side, and because of my visual impairment, here it is. It's magnifying, it's got LED lights going around it, and I can bring it right down to my work, and especially if I drop a stitch. And you know what I do? Right over here, I keep my needle so that when I drop that stitch, I can go right in there and find it with my magnifying and put it back on. And this lamp is called a Mighty Bright. So anybody that does needlework, visually impaired or not, it is a wonderful lamp to have when you're doing that. I discovered it at a knitting shop in, where was I at? Arlington, Texas. It's called the Knitting Fairy. Love that shop. And I thought, well, that's a little expensive. So, you know, I went online and I found it online. And I got the one that's for the floor, because I can move it around. When I read the newspaper, I now read the paper using that lamp. So that's what I do when I make these baby hats. Well, this came to the end of this little video, didn't it? I hope you've learned something, enjoyed it. It just brings pleasure when you do these little gifts. So don't forget to subscribe, you know, down there. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. And I'd really like if you push the little like button. And comments are always welcome. I love nice comments. So whatever you do, have a wonderful day. And Mama says, bye-bye.